Most people say they want consistency. They want to wake up early every day, exercise regularly, meditate daily, work steadily, stay focused, not fall off the track. So they chase consistency itself. They track, they measure it, they build streaks around it. And when they break loose those streaks, they feel disappointed or ashamed. But consistency was never the real problem. Trying to manufacture it is. Consistency is not something you produce by force. It's not something you summon through willpower. It's something that appears when effort stops being the primary driver. Think about the things you already do consistently without struggle. You don't need motivation to brush your teeth. You don't need discipline to check your phone. You don't need reminders to return to what feels natural. Not because you are especially disciplined, but because the design is effortless. Now, notice something important. When people say they lack consistency, what they usually mean is that something feels heavy. The routine feels demanding, the expectation feels borrowed, the pace feels unsustainable, and instead of questioning the design, they question themselves. I am not disciplined enough. I lack willpower. I keep failing. But very often, nothing is wrong with that person. Something is wrong with the fit. Consistency disappears when life is misaligned, when expectations are too ambitious for the season you are in, when systems rely on constant self-control, when habits are built for an ideal life, not for the one you're actually living. So you try harder, you push, you force, you promise yourself that this time will be different. But consistency does not respond to pressure, it responds to alignment. When an action matches your energy, you don't need discipline to return to it. When a commitment respects your current capacity, you don't need motivation to sustain it. When your environment supports you quietly, effort becomes occasional instead of constant. That is why consistency is not a goal, it is a side effect. It is the result of removing friction, not adding force. So instead of asking, how do I become more consistent? Try asking something gentler. Like, what am I trying to sustain that doesn't belong to my current life? What what expectation am I carrying that was never designed for me? What would this look like if it were easier, not harder? Because when you stop fighting yourself, consistency doesn't need to be chased. It shows up on its own, not loudly, not heroically, but stealthily and steadily. And that kind of consistency lasts.